Hello, welcome to my presentation on chapter 8, and I want just to give you a quick overview of what we discussed in chapter 8. Now, in chapter 8, we did look at markups, markdowns, perishables, and break-even analysis. Now, this chapter sums up into one thing. So most of the problems in this chapter, can be solved using our basic selling price formula, and that is selling price is equal to cost plus markup. Now, remember the markup here, it depends. So the markup here could be either be based on cost, or this markup could also be based on selling price. So keep in mind what the question is asking and what that markup is based on. So please make a note of that. So it could be either the markup is based on cost or the markup is based on selling price. So again, most of the problems in the chapter, markup problems, markdown problems, and the perishables problems can be solved first of all by just beginning uh, solving the problem by using the basic setting formula. So, for example, let's look at a couple of one or two problems from our chapter. So we go to chapter 8, and let's pick up our practice quiz. So we pick up that practice and let's look at maybe one or two questions. And here is our first question. So for question 1, for example, this is what we are given. So I want to try to split this into two if I can, so that I can use one side. I can use my working space, and again basing this on the same formula. So you basically have this. So you are told on the left side here we have Mr. Small, the store manager for Jay's Appliance, is having a difficult time placing a selling price on a refrigerator. So they have problem or some trouble in trying to figure out the selling price. But we know that the cost of this appliance is 410. So again, if we go back to a basic formula here, we know that our cost is 410. So you just substitute 410 into your cost, and Mr. Small knows his boss would like a 45% markup that is based on cost. So the markup here is a 45%. So they want to achieve a 45% markup. But this markup is based on what? Is based on cost. And those two should give us what our selling price should be. Now we know that our cost is 410. So if you substitute 410 there, and then we have 0.45, 45% of 410. And again, you can pull up your calculator and you can do this. So 45% of 410 is 184. So our selling price should be 410 plus 184.50 cents. And if you add those two numbers, then we know that this refrigerator should be sold at 494.50 cents, which is our selling price. Again, to solve this problem, we just had to use our basic selling uh, price formula to determine what the selling price is, because you've been given the cost and we've been given the markup that is based on cost. So the solution to that, again, you can see it is there. It is 400 and 494, sorry, 494 and 50 cents. And I want to do the same thing by looking at the next problem. And you're going to see why the basic selling formula becomes very key to us. And in this example, I'm going to look at the perishable problem. So we're talking about, again, a store here that sells muffins. And here we've been given is the cost. So we've been given the cost to make one muffin, which is 69 cents. But the past experience shows that some of those muffins go bad. So, and that is 15% of the muffins will be spoiled. So again, you can't sell all the muffins because there's a percent of them that will be spoiled. And therefore, we assume that the shop wants to achieve a 30% markup, which is also based on cost. But again, they're going to produce 200 muffins. So in other words, we've been asked to determine again the selling price. So it's the same formula that we're going to begin with. So we need to determine the selling price, but we've been given, of course, the cost of the muffin. So we have a cost of 0. For each muffin is 0.69, is each muffin is 0. So the total cost here is going to be 0.69 is for each muffin, but they're going to produce 200 muffins. So that becomes our total cost. But this farm wants to achieve a 30% markup that is based on cost. So they want to achieve a 30% markup that is based on cost. Now, if you think about it, what's our cost? Our cost is the 69 cents times 200 muffins that we're going to produce. So our cost here becomes 138 in terms of cost. But we need to achieve a markup of 30% of cost. So 30% of 138 should be our total selling price. So this should give us our total selling price. Now, if you think about it, if our cost is 138 and our markup is 30%, then our markup is going to be 41.4, which is basically 30% of 138 is $41.40. You add this to 138, then we are saying we need to sell these muffins, and we need to realize 179 and 49 cents. But that will give us the ability to achieve our 30% markup that is based on the markup of 30% based on cost. So the question is, if this is what we intend to achieve in terms of total revenue, and that gives us 30% markup on cost, then what should be the price of each muffin? Again, you have to remember, in the problem we are told, yes, we produce 200 muffins, but we're not going to sell all the 200 muffins because 15% of those will be bad. So out of the 200 muffins that are produced, it means then 200 of these. So in other words, we're saying 15% of 200, which is 30. So 30 muffins will be bad. So the spoilage here is 30 muffins. So which means the only good muffins is the 200 minus 30. only 170 muffins are going to be good, which we're going to sell only 170 muffins instead of the 200. So to determine then the selling price of each muffin, then you will just take the total selling price, which is the 179 and 40 cents, divided by the good muffins. In this case, the good muffins is what is 170. So if you divide 179, again, you go to your calculator, you can do this math. 179 uh, uh, and 40 cents, and divide this with 170 muffins, which are the good ones, then it means you have to charge $1.05 for each muffin in order for you to realize the desired markup on cost, which is 30% in the problem. So you need to sell this to $1.05. Again, you can see the closest we have is $1.06. So you have to sell this by rounding this. You have to sell to 2 decimal places. Then it means you have to sell this muffin, each muffin at $1.06 to realize the 30% markup on cost. So again, the issue again is to show you how relevant this formula is, and this formula can help you in trying to determine the selling price, hoping that you've been given the cost and the markup, or if you are being asked to determine the cost, then you can determine the cost so long as again you have been given the other two values. You can even use this formula, even to try to answer some of the concepts question. So you might find a question asking you, if you know the markup, that is based on cost, and the cost, then that formula should help you, of course, figure out the selling price. Or if you know the markup that is based on cost, and of course, the based on the selling price, and you know the selling price, then you should be able to figure out what the cost is. Again, yes, takes you back to the basic. The formula is very important in trying to solve most of the problems in the chapter. So I will recommend, advise you to continue working through the other problems, and let me know if you have any questions. But again, you can see this formula can be used to determine the selling price. This formula can be used to determine the selling price for perishable items, and the same formula can also be determined to determine the cost of an item, on and on, and you'll find this to be vital. So let me know if you have any questions, but I hope this clip is very important and helpful to you. Thank you.